Welcome. It seems to take my computer a moment or so to let me know, hey, we're actually doing this. And welcome to everyone, whether you're watching now or later. I keep working out the kinks. And so like right this minute, I'm not, oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so now I've got it up. And so if you have any comments, if you're watching live, I should be able to see those. And so happy solstice. Today, I didn't realize, yeah, today's the solstice. And so it's a beautiful turning point, transition point in the life, basically, of the planet. A lot of the ancient tribes and traditions really honed into the seasons. And so this is somewhat of a Northern European tradition that you celebrate the solstice, but it's a really beautiful time. And I wanted to, so I'm doing the 4 agreements, right? And I got to tell you, tonight is don't take anything personally. And honestly, it became my favorite of the 4 agreements, primarily because it was the hardest for me to do or to learn. And so it was kind of really hard one for me. And it's also the hardest for every single body. I mean, it's really, really hard for people to grasp. What do you mean don't take everything personally? And so it's really a little odd that we all, myself included, had so many problems, because the truth is, once you get it, oh my word, your level of freedom, it's phenomenal. I mean, it really is, because we end up suffering because we're taking so much stuff, really, really personally. And the reason we do, I mean, I think I said I was going to talk about that. So the why of taking it all personally is because of what Toltecs call domestication. And, I think early childhood development, people call it early childhood development, or Buddhists would call it conditioning. And essentially, we have every single one of us, I mean, I like to say you could be raised by wolves and you would still been domesticated, okay? And so it's around learning. The domestication really involves learning what is right, what is wrong, how to respond, what's supposed to be. And, it's really around, we're domesticated to keep us safe. At least in the US, we're taught fire burns. So, and basically parents teach you that to keep you safe. And myself and hundreds of thousands of other people all go firewalking. So some of this gets really relative, right? And yet we've all been domesticated in what to be, how to look, what's right, what's wrong, what to think, all of it. And out of that domestication, again, every one of us, we've taken that training and we have created beliefs and agreements around those concepts. All right, and we did that. So if you think about it as a young child, at least if you were in my family and you did not want to be spanked, there were certain things you didn't do. Around my mom, I mean, it's like kids were to be seen and not heard. Big boys don't cry. In my household, big girls, nobody cries, nobody whines and all of that. And so the agreements came where the beliefs were, 1, I'm not supposed to do that. And 2, I'm supposed to be quiet, which you can kind of tell I'm not. And 2, to get love and to not be punished, I had to behave accordingly. And again, this happens to everybody. We've all been trained how to behave. And safety for a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old, it means not getting spanked, not having love withheld, being acceptable to parents, religions, cultures, peers, siblings, all of that. And so what also ended up happening was that it really started affecting our ideas of our self-worth. And so because of domestication, we're running around comparing ourselves to everybody else. Oh, well, they're doing it better than me. That means I'm not good enough. We'll judge other people like, whoa, look at them. They're not doing it the way my mommy taught me how to do it, or my religion taught me how to do it, or my culture, or my country, all of that. And so all of that starts to affect our self-worth. And it can build us up sometimes, like, oh, look how much better I am than anybody else. Or it can tear us down sometimes. Look at how bad I am compared to, here's my favorite. I'm supposed to look like the supermodel, who's 14, by the way. And, I'm comparing myself and then judging myself because I'm carrying extra weight. People, we do this all the time. And what it's doing is it is creating a tremendous amount of pain, a lot of pain and a lot of sorrow. And here's the thing about it. It's not even true. It isn't even true. And that's the thing that got me on the Toltec path, was when I was in a retreat in Santa Fe back in 2000, I think. Yep, 2000, where I heard a Don Miguel Ruiz retreat, where he said to the audience, he said, everything you know is a lie. And I got to tell you, my whole mind blown, right? Because I knew I had heard a truth. It was that visceral light bulb going off over your head, your whole body having a reaction. And almost everything we know and believe is a lie. It's not true. And so something else that kind of slows us down is that very, very few people, sadly, take responsibility for their own feelings, their own actions, their own words. And so what ends up happening is they start to blame other people. And so if you're not going to take something personally, I got to tell you, when somebody's yelling at you, oh gosh, I hope I remember to tell you my story later about how I got it. I'm going to tell you now because I'll forget. So when somebody's yelling at you, it can be hard to not take it personally because they're like right in your face and yelling. So I was working in an accounting office. I'm a recovering accountant. And I was at my computer. It was like lunch hour. All the other directors and people had gone to lunch. And I hear the front door open. And I hear somebody yelling at the top of their lungs for a person that's not even in the building. But they're charging down the hallway and they are really pissed off. And I'm sitting there, my door is open, I'm the only light on. And I think, oh God, what's gonna happen? So this person comes running down, the hall, and they see me and they come charging into the room, and they're only like 3.5, 4 feet. So they're even way too close. And they are yelling at me about this other person at the top of their lungs. And I'm sitting in an office chair, very similar to the one I'm in now. And I'm sitting there, I probably had my hands right on the side of the seat like I do now. And I'm looking at this person in the eye, and the only thing going through my mind is, not about me, not about me, not about me. God's truth, real story. And that's the point. Don't take anything personally, because it's not about you. Well, and this was pretty obvious because they were yelling at me about somebody else, but it gave me the opportunity to learn. And that's one of the tricks I use to really get this agreement viscerally in my bones. But let's get to that. So again, people don't take full responsibility for their thoughts, their feelings, their words, and their actions. And they start to blame other people. It's like, you made me so mad. Sorry, I didn't make you anything. Or if you hadn't done that, then I would be okay. Or, oh, it is your fault, our children are acting out. Or, well, if I had been trained better, I would succeed. And on and on and on. And as I've gone through this myself, because I really did learn this agreement, what I notice about myself is that one of my last buttons, and I actually deal with it better, I don't have an outward reaction, but I do have an inward one, is I get mad when people hit my fairness button. So I still have this belief inside of me that everything should be fair. People should be fair. The world should be fair. Life should be fair. And you've heard it said before, hello, Diana, get a grip. It isn't. But here's the thing. Fair is subjective. The concept of fairness is subjective. I have my idea, and every one of you is going to have your own idea, or maybe a different idea. I guarantee often a different idea than I have or anybody else has. And well, I guess the point is we all don't agree, but that's the thing that used to get me, and I could get really upset about that. But again, it's my beliefs and ideas about what should be fair. Anyway, so I'm going to keep going. And so Miguel, there's a word in, I guess it's Nahuatl, um, yeah, that is called mitote. All right, and mitote is happens about, so like we are all kind of blessed and cursed with friggin' incredible minds. Like I think it's like a supercomputer. Well, I know it's a supercomputer running around in our heads, and yet it is really noisy. And it seems that it's got a mind, no pun intended, it's got a mind of its own. And the word mitote means the 1,000 or 10,000 voices in the marketplace. Okay, mitote is the many, many voices in the marketplace. And that's what they call that jumble of thoughts and all of that that's going on in our own heads. And we've got the worry, we've got the judgments, we've got the to-do list, we've got all of our beliefs, and we have way, way too many shoulds. I mean, we really do. There's a thing about how people should themselves to death. I mean, we've got too many shoulds. And the Toltecs also talk about the dream of the planet. And the dream, it kind of means the dream of society, but what it boils down to, a whole lot of storytellers that, out there telling stories like you, me, and everybody else, and how it's not even true at all. And so the point for this agreement and the point in Miguel's book is to get to choice, to understand we are at choice. Are we going to listen to the mitote of the judgment, the shame, the fear, the blame, the guilt and all of that in our brain? Or are we going to listen to our truth, our inner wisdom, our inner wise person? And we're at choice there. We really are. And to do that, and all of us, we need discernment for sure. Okay, we have to have that discernment. And one of the things that really kind of gets in the way of our discernment, there's a few, but just one of them, is what the Toltecs call self-importance. Okay, so self-importance is like that level of, say, unconscious selfishness that assumes that though everything on out there is about me. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the weird, they're all about me. Okay, and that's the concept of self-importance, that at least for this, is everything is about me. And this is why so many people take things personally, because they think everything everybody else out there is doing is all about them. Think about that. I'm going to take a sip. I mean, if you think that everything everybody else is doing is about you, then of course you're going to take it all personally. I mean, it's not even true. You're going to hear me talk about that. It's not true, but that's what people think, and one of the examples I give is like, let's just say you've gone to a grocery store and you're shopping around, and up down an aisle, you see one of your best friends, let's say, and it looks to you like they glance over and see you, and then they turn their back on you and walk away. A lot of people are going to go, well, what the hell? What's up with that? And they're going to take it personally. When the truth probably is they were looking at the stuff on the shelves and they never even saw you. But because we assume that everything revolves around us, we're going to take it personally, and it had nothing to do with us. And this is the part that everybody has such a hard time understanding. Don't take it personally, because nothing anybody does or says or thinks is because of you. Nothing. 100%, none, zip, nada. The good, the bad, the weird. And so remember, we've all been domesticated, and that domestication is different for every single one of us. Every human being has developed their own beliefs, their own filters and judgments, and we are reacting from those judgments. You are, I am, everybody is, okay? We are all reacting from our filters, our beliefs, our domestication, our conditioning, and our judgments, our shoulds, our ideas of how everything should be. And what happens with that is then we then start to assume that you know my world. Okay. Oh, well, they're behaving that. Don't they know better? I'm assuming you've got like friggin' ESP and you figured me completely out before you've ever opened your mouth. I do wish that were true, but I know it's not. We also try to impose our world on everyone else. We try to, and especially for, I apologize, but the United States is kind of tricky with that one because we're supposed to be a high standard for how the world should be. But that flip side of that is we're running around imposing our ideas of fairness and what's right on a lot of people. So we've all, I don't care what country you're from, we all are trying to impose our world on somebody else. And the other thing that's interesting in human dynamics is that we develop this drive to be right and to make everybody else wrong. So remember earlier I talked about blaming? That's all about, I'm right, you're wrong. I mean, blame is pretty simple. And when we've got that, I'm right and you're wrong, then we're going to start to defend ourselves. And what happens is that's when the struggles come about, because you got somebody here saying, you're not doing this right. And you're going, oh, what the hell? Yes, I am. And this is why. And then they're going to start going, well, this is why you're not. And this is why you are. I mean, criminy crickets, that gets really complex. And so I saw this great, it's called I'm sorry. Oh, a children's program. And the name of the program is called Dinosaurs. And I love this. It's so rich. And I was really happy, this was a very long time ago, to see it being taught. But in Dinosaurs, there was this whole grove of these nut trees. And there were one side decided they wanted to cut them down. Another side was saying, no, we can't cut these trees down. It's like, what are you, crazy? And so what happened is they're all in the cartoon, it was a TV show, they've all gone out and gathered one side on this and one side on the other, this nice grove of trees. And one of the little baby dinosaurs, he's riding on his daddy's shoulder. And all the dinosaurs on both sides are yelling, we are right, we are right. And the baby dinosaur on the top of his dad's shoulders bangs his dad on the head, truly, and says, Dad, I can't say all those words. You got to make it shorter for me. And his dad thinks about it and he goes, let's see, we are right. We are right. W-A-R. Oh, W-A-R. War. And they all started, on his side, started going, war, war, war. I don't know, I got to chill. I got to chill every time I recount that story, because that's what the heck happens, is that we assume they know our world. They assume that we assume they know ours, they assume we know theirs, and this conflict, and everybody starts defending themselves. And I'm going to read you something that Miguel said in his book. He says, you may even tell me, Miguel, what you're saying is hurting me, but it is not what I am saying that is hurting you. It is that you have wounds that are touched by what I have said, and you are hurting yourself. And yeah, we are hurting ourselves. When we start taking everything personally, we are hurting ourselves. And Miguel also had a concept in the book. And so this whole talk is around the 4 agreements by Don Miguel de Ruiz. But he talked about, we all had this movie theater. And it's like you go in and you create the movie of your life, and you've got, your movie is running in your theater, and you're the director, you're the producer, you're the main actor, you're actually pretty much a lot of the different roles in your movie. And everyone else in your world, parents, the whole 9 yards, they are secondary characters in your movie. And so we're all running a movie. But if you were to say, walk out of your movie theater and go into your mother's or your father's or your siblings, you're going to see possibly the exact same story being told with a completely different perspective, and basically a completely different story. The set might be the same. The story is completely different. And that's because everybody's point of view is 100% personal and related to them. But it doesn't even mean that, well, what it does mean, it's only your truth. It's nobody else's truth but yours. And that's really important to try to understand. I mean, if you've ever tried to talk with siblings about, well, do you remember when this happened? At least in my family, we've all got a different take on it. So it's no one's truth but your own. It's nobody's movie but your own. Even your closest, most intimate partner will have seen it very different or somewhat differently. And so if you get mad at me, I know that you are dealing with yourself and your own beliefs, your own, say, filters, your judgments, and your ideas of how I should be, what I should think, how I should act or behave. And this is, I think, the part that people balk on, because they're going to say, well, you did make me mad, Diana. But here's the thing, it's still not about me. I may have been a trigger, all right? Absolutely. And me as the trigger, I remind you of your mother, father, sibling, parent, religion, culture, something. So yeah, I'm integral, but only insofar as you have a belief and I have helped or pushed, not even knowing, that trigger for you. That's what's going on. That's why you're taking it personally. For one, our self-importance means that everything is about us, which is not. And for two, everything you're experiencing is just about you. It has nothing to do with me. I might have mirrored a person in your past or a situation in your past. What's going on with us might resemble something you've recreated before, but you're having your reaction from that past event and not from me in any way, shape, or form. And it's when you really can understand that nothing anybody else thinks, feels, says, or does, tells you is about you. Not one, it has nothing to do with you. Seriously, nothing, nada. You might just be the mirror, but it's still got nothing to do with you. When you get that, oh my God, you're going to have such a huge level of freedom. And I promise you this. I promise you this. And it's like, same thing as in reverse. Everything you're getting mad about has nothing to do with them either. That is 100% about you. 100% about you. And so one of the things that I use with my students is if you clasp your hands together, this is like, let me back up a second. When you actually do a lot of work on yourself and you come to actually take responsibility for what you think, because what you think informs, well, it comes from your beliefs, but it informs your words and actions and deeds. But let's just say you've got an issue still and you can get easily triggered. So your issue kind of looks like this. Energetically, it's all balled up. It's tight inside of you. And if I were to push a button, I mean, there's a lot of places for it to land. You've got a lot of space here that can be reactive. And so as you continue to do more work, we all do, and as we clear up some of these things, we start to loosen the energy that we're using to hold our hands together. And as we loosen that energy, we suddenly start to get some space between the fingers. And as we do more work on ourselves and clear up those beliefs and agreements that, remember, aren't even true, most of them, about yourself anyway, as we start to clear them up, well, suddenly, if you were to throw a barb at me, there's nowhere, there's really no place for that barb to land. Because once you know your truth, I mean, I know my truth. I do. People can get mad at me. I mean, it's fine, but there's very few places that's going to land on me. And the reason is that remember I said skinny legs, well, I haven't said that yet, but the good, the bad, the ugly, or as Kurt Vonnegut said, skinny legs and all. I've accepted my limitations because I have them. I've accepted my success though too. And I also know that, like, for me, all I'm trying to do is my best. I don't deliberately do anything to hurt anybody. I don't. It's just not even wired into my DNA. And so if somebody gets mad at me for something they think I did, I can very easily stay calm and just go, well, I understand you feel it. Let's talk about it, because that's not what I was intended at all. It's so much freedom. And I don't have to get mad because I know I didn't do it, right? And I don't have to defend myself simply because, unless they're really important to me, I might explain. But it's all about them. It's got nothing to do with me. And some people have said and questioned, and rightly so, well, what about our integrity? And I mean, this whole teaching is not about the fact that you walk around the world going, you don't like what I did? Well, screw you, basically. What you think has got nothing to do with me. This is not that teaching at all. Because what we need to understand is that we are mirrors for each other, okay? So let's just say I was running around my life and I was getting that feedback that I'm making everybody mad. Well, I'm gonna have to stop and really dig into that. What am I doing? Because it doesn't mean that we don't have integrity. It just means that all these people can be a mirror for me, that something I am doing might not be in my integrity, or that I haven't learned a graceful, impeccable way with my word to speak it, and I need to speak it well. And I remember I've got a really good example of that. I still haven't figured it out, or I figure it out and I keep forgetting it. So this is kind of hard to share, but sometimes what I want to say to people is that I love you and what you do is all about you. What it comes out sometimes is, I don't care. Do what you want. I don't care. And the truth is, I care about the person, but the truth also is, it doesn't matter to me what they do. So I'm still trying to figure out a kind of PC way to say that. But let's just pretend I was going around telling everybody I didn't care. All right. One, it's not fully impeccable. I mean, maybe I should say, I really care about you, or I love you, but I don't care what you do. It's your life. You're going to have your life. But so this is an example of where I need to examine how I might not be impeccable, being impeccable with my word, clearly reflecting what I mean. And so this whole agreement, the entire 4 agreements are all around a complete and absolute integrity. And it's sort of like with me, and this is hard to get people to do, sadly. If something I'm doing upsets you, well, then speak it to me. Speak it to me. And if the truth is, if you're important enough to me, and if I care about the topic, or I have the spaciousness, and that I can, I'll do everything on my power to change or compromise or work so that we get to win-win. And yet most people won't even speak it. They're going to do what I talked about earlier. They're going to start blaming me for not being whatever they think they want based on their domestication or their beliefs from their domestication. And so it's really not hard. I mean, I hope I think I've been fairly straightforward with this. Miguel's book, The 4 Agreements, brilliant on it. Get it, read it. So if you keep this agreement for yourself, then it's around, the freedom comes is you can ask for what you need. Plus, you start understanding what you can say yes or no to. And, and without guilt or self-judgment. You can follow your friggin' heart, do what is in your highest integrity. And when you're doing that, when you're, like I said, I've cleaned up enough stuff that I'm like you, I think. I think we're all just trying to do our best with the level of tools that we have. And so with this agreement, I'm not getting triggered all the time because I know that that's not about me. At the same time, I understand that if I'm getting the same message, then that's a mirror for me. And all that means is I've got something more to look at in here and to clean up in here. And so before I close up, I'm going to give you, there's some tools that you can use to work with this. And so basically, start looking at your agreements. Make a list of your agreements. And they can be sneaky. So you have to, the best thing I can tell you is to start in your childhood, and start looking. Well, I was taught big boys don't cry, big girls don't cry. Buck up. Money doesn't grow on trees. You got to work hard all of your life for everything you've got. If you aren't thin and skinny, nobody's going to love you. If you're too thin and skinny, nobody's going to love you. I mean, the list could go on and on and on. And it tends to for all of us. And so, but do an inventory. Look at what you honestly believe. That mitote in your head, that can also help. Start listening to what your friggin' head is actually saying, because it's talking to you all the time. Remember, it's a mitote, the blah, 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 blah. But the point when you start looking at this stuff, my entire focus in my life is I only care about the truth. I only want to see the truth. So for you, go find the truth. And understand that if you are in reaction, something is there for you. It doesn't make you wrong. It just means there's something there to look at that you're not done with yet. That's all. And another thing I teach my students is there are no failures. There's only feedback. So if, I do this all the time. If I get triggered, I just go, okay, I have to look at myself because I'm the one triggered. Why am I getting upset? And you know what? Sometimes, there's this great, how do I say this? A thing I put up, maybe I'll post it in the comments. Because if I am these, then I can get triggered. And so the little thing I'll post, it says, halt. Am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or triggered? And if I'm any of those things, then I can't believe or take anything anybody says to me, especially myself, seriously. Well, actually, I can't take anything I think, say, or do seriously because I'm hungry or I'm angry or I'm lonely or I'm tired. And when all of this happen, you halt, stop, don't keep going. And then if something, let's say you're trying really hard to work with this, if you find something doesn't feel right to you, what so many of us feel is that we have to answer right away. Instead of doing that, and I challenge you to run the experiment because most people really don't care. Just say, that's interesting. Let me think about it. And I'll get back with you on that. And then you can think about it. Is it true to my heart? Do I really want to do it? Or do I feel like I should do it? Am I supposed, all that shoulding yourself to death? And investigate yourself and listen to the friggin' matote in your head because people are not stupid. They just don't know how to do things. People are not, necessarily poor. They're rich in other areas. People are not ugly. They're just not a supermodel. It's like, just be you. Really and truly, just be you. Like Kurt Vonnegut said, skinny legs and all. But here's the deal, and most people don't really get this. Just be you because you are anyway. You're just being you anyway. And that means it might be a you that's scared. It might be a you that's defensive. It might be a you wearing this mask that says, oh, I'm full of light and love and everything's great. And I never have any problems. Whatever we're doing, it's just be who you are because the truth is you are anyway. And it isn't until you actually, or any of us actually, unwinds those beliefs and agreements and gets to our own core truth that we're really find the greatest freedom. Because just being who you are, you really are anyway, because other people can see through those masks. Other people can look at you and go, oh, isn't that interesting? Such a pretty girl, but man, she's trying too hard. Or, wow, look at that guy. Gee, I don't know about him. He's a player. And, or, all the other million things that everybody runs around with judgments about. So don't take anything personally. I truly believe can give people vast amounts of personal freedom. And so I really support you, everyone, to go and explore it, to investigate, to get the 4 agreement. Actually, don't get the 4 agreements, get the 5th agreement because it puts all 4 in the same stuff and includes the 5th. And to start learning how to practice this in your lives. And if you have any questions about it, I didn't notice anything coming up in the chat, and I believe I have an active chat going on here below the video. So if there are any, just post them in the comment section. I'll be checking that and regularly. I mean, I check the site all the time, and I'm happy to answer them for you. So great blessings, be well. Don't take anything personally because nothing's about you. All right, beloveds, take care.